Good evening, Lake Orion. Welcome to Lake Orion Football Preview Show on ONTV. I'm your host, Anthony Taormina, and I got a special guest with me, Coach Bell. Coach, how are you doing?
Great, Anthony. Great to be here.
Awesome. I'm happy to have you. We've done this for a very, very long time, over more than a decade, isn't it?
We've done it for a number of years, yes. Always look forward to it.
I do too. It's a lot of fun. It's very exciting. I want to talk, before we talk about this season's team, I want to recap last season. Went 6-4 in the OAA Red, which is one of the toughest in state. It was quite an adventure in terms of how the league went. Everybody was practically winning all their home games in the league, and except for that one, Oxford beat West Bloomfield at West Bloomfield to win the league at 3-1. Lake Orion averaged 252 points scored, 25.2 points a game, 182 points allowed, which was 18.2 points a game. The big wins were big wins early on. You had a big one at Northville, 21-13. Really strong Northville team. Then week 2, you go into Stony Creek and win 42-13. That was Coach Rick Powell's first home game at Stony. And then week 3 on ONTV, the game's still up on ONTV's website, beat Troy 32-0. Then had their tough loss at Oxford, 21-18. Bounced back against Adams, 28-25. Another really good game. Then it was a tough one at West Bloomfield, lost 48-41, high-scoring affair. Came back, bounced back, beat Clarkston, 20-13. Beat Farmington, 27-6, and then lost a hard-fought game at home to Saline, 8-7. Then qualifying in the playoffs, having a home game against Clarkston, where we lost 34-16. The last 2 weeks scored a total of 23 total points. Could you talk about last year and recap last year?
You know what? We had a great group of kids. We were pretty senior heavy. I want to say through the first 8 weeks, I thought we played really well. I was really proud of our kids. Even though we had a couple losses in there. Losing to Oxford after we spotted them. A big lead in the first half. And made some adjustments and did a nice job in the second half, but just came up a little bit short. And obviously played that game without Tristan, our starting quarterback. And our young guys stepped in and did a great job, kept us in the game. So that was a tough one. But then to come back the following week and beat a very good Rochester Adams team. It may have been the best game we played on both sides of the ball. Put it together, and Adams was very good.
They were a Final Four team last year.
Yeah, so to beat Adams at home. And then obviously we had the shootout against West Bloomfield. West Bloomfield game, in the third quarter we're up a couple scores and we're driving with a chance to really put the game away. And we didn't finish the drive. We ended up turning it over on downs. I think we missed a field goal rather. Yep. And they went down. They hit a big play, scored quickly, and they owned us in the fourth quarter. We ran out of gas, and we hadn't done that. Throughout the season. Then to come back and to beat Clarkston at home, obviously anytime you beat Clarkston, it's a good thing, and rivalry game and homecoming game and all that good stuff. So that was a big win for us. And then Farmington down there. Farmington was tough, but obviously a very blue collar win down there. Got it done. And then I felt really never disappointed, but the last 2 games were disappointing, I guess. And they not in the kids, just the way we finished as a team. I don't know if we ran out of gas, but Saline, Saline's a great team with a lot of talent, and we basically dominated the game. I remember talking to Mick McCabe after the game, who was covering the game. He came up and said, you guys dominated that game and should have won by a couple scores, and we did. But we just, in the red zone, we had too many dumb mistakes in the red zone. Controllable mistakes where we're bobbling footballs or turning the ball over, just dumb things that kept us off the board. And still, up until 25 seconds left, we still have a 7-0 lead, and we have them 4th and forever, down deep, and the quarterback scrambles, and the tight end is going to Georgia, makes a great play, turns into a big play. They score, go for 2, and beat us 8-7. So that's another one. We had them pinned down deep. We should have had them put away way before that, but that's football. It was a great game. They kept fighting, and then the following week, Clarkston came in and put it to us. There's no excuses there. They were just a better team on that night. They physically took it to us and ended our season. So it was kind of a very good year, but it was also we just couldn't take that final step. Whether it be putting away West Bloomfield, whether it be putting away Saline. I just think it could have been a great year. We were just a little bit short, but great kids. They won a lot of the seniors last year won a lot of games during their time here at Lake Orion. So it was a great class, and obviously we're going to miss them.
It was a really it really felt like to me that it felt like early on it felt like we were clicking, and then the league in general was just really, as I made mention, the league was really challenging. You look at everybody made the playoffs that year in the red. Oxford won the league with a 3-1 league record, but as I said, it felt like everybody won their home games, with the exception of Oxford winning at West Bloomfield week 7. And it definitely just tells you how much parity there was in the OA Red that year.
Yeah, going into that, if that last week, if Oxford had beaten, or if West Bloomfield had beaten Oxford, it would have been, I want to say, a 4-way tie for first.
5-way tie.
5-way tie for first. Everybody was right there. And give Oxford credit. They went down to WB and put it on them. So they played a great game, and they deserve to win the league title.
We mentioned playing Clarkston twice last year. Talk about the impacts of playing a team twice. It felt like Clarkston came in really motivated based off the last home game that we had in the regular season. The impacts of playing a team twice. There's been some questions about. There have been, like we talked about last year, in terms of teams playing each other twice in the playoffs. Will there be any playoff changes, regionalizing? There was talks about that last year.
No, there were talks, and I serve on that committee, the MHSAA, and we put forth a proposal to expand the playoff bracket and do it in regions, then seed regions.
Right.
But the MHSAA, the executive board or executive body for the MHSAA, turned down the proposal simply because, while it might work for Division I, it may not work for the smaller divisions where there's a lot more travel. And that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to travel, and they want to make sure it's a fair system, Divisions 1 through 8. So if it doesn't work for everybody, it's not going to go through. So playing familiar teams in the playoffs is just a way of life. I mean, we've done it forever. We've done it for over 20 years. It used to be nice when you got in the playoffs way back, to play teams that you didn't see, to travel a little bit. I mean, we've played teams like Monroe, we've played Brighton, we've played Walled Lake Central, we've played, obviously Flint Carmen Ainsworth, Flint Northern, Davison, Novi. So those are neat to play those teams that you don't see all the time. And lately, it just seems like in our brackets, and I'm sure Clark's feels the same way. We get out, we play our league again. It's playing. A couple of years ago, our bracket for the district was Oxford, Rochester Adams, Clarkson, Lake Orion. And it's but it's not. We're not the only ones that deal with that. Right. It's like that in the MAC. The MAC deals with it all the time. Out the conference out west with Rockford and
Ottawa Kent.
Yes, they deal with the same thing. So, that was one of the things we talked about. Is if you look at the duplicate matchups, a couple of years ago, you had matchups where Groves and Seaholm played week 9. They turned around and played week 10. Davis and Lapeer, week 9, they played week 10. Midland Dow, they played week 9, they played week 10. So that's hard. When you turn around and you play people the exact same week, it's just, it's nice to have somebody different to prepare for.
Right.
That's all. So that's all. But it's part of it, and we'll continue to play who we have to play, and hopefully we'll be able to get through those brackets.
Let's talk about Let's talk about the players that you got coming up. Returning players. Let's talk about the strengths and the challenges. Let's talk about returning players you got coming back.
Well, we were senior heavy last year, obviously, but we returned some really good players, and we returned some players that may have been backups last year, but they're really excited to make a name for themselves. If you look on paper, we return 3 to 4 starters on each side of the ball, which isn't a lot, but we have we have some good players coming back. We're big up front on both sides of the ball. We have depth on both sides of the ball up front. We got two good quarterbacks competing for the quarterback job. I expect us to be much better at running back. We return Jaden Barrero, who started for us last year, but we have James Bambard, who's really had a great offseason as well. Wesley Pratt's another one who was a young guy last year who really came on at the end. So between those three at running back, we really think we're going to be in good shape. Coming back, highlighted, obviously we've got Ryan Rushlow, a 3-year varsity player, Western Michigan commit as a tight end, tremendous athlete, two-sport athlete. He's going to play for us at tight end, also outside linebacker. We returned Jack Stiller on the offensive line, and Jack, as well as Braden Blackstock in the offensive line. Braden will stay at center. Jack will probably going to kick out to tackle. He played guard for us last year. He's probably going to play left tackle for us this year. Drew McKay started some games for us last year as a sophomore. He's going to be back as our right tackle. So, we're in great shape there. We've got A.J. Cadnacci. And A.J. played for us as a backup last year, but he's going to start for us as our Z receiver. It's had a great offseason. Defensively, we return our defensive MVP and Alex Hensley. And Alex is phenomenal. And Alex is going to play both sides of the ball. He's also going to play some fullback for us, and he's just a wrecking ball. He's phenomenal. Garrick Sheffield saw a lot of time on the defensive line last year, and Garrick returns. He's going to be one of the best defensive linemen in the league. And he could also play both ways. He's another guy. He could start for us on the offensive line as well. He's that good. Hopefully, and we like to one-way our guys as much as possible, keeps them fresh, especially in our league.
Right.
But Garrick is good enough to play both ways if we need him. Max Nearing was our nickel last year, and he's going to return for us as one of our safety spots. And Max may also play wide receiver for us as well. So we've got guys that, have seen some experience. Both our quarterbacks, Brody Thompson and Anderson Adams, took some snaps last year at the varsity level as well. So, we're excited about, who we have coming back. That's one of the neat things about high school football. You've got different kids, and we have to adjust what we do to fit our talent that we have, to fit our strengths, and we've done that in the off season. So it's a really exciting time for us.
It's awesome. What are the challenges going to be with this group?
The challenges, well, obviously the schedule is always a challenge.
Obviously.
Yeah. So it's a matter of I don't know. I really can't identify them. They're hardworking kids. They've had a great off season. They're very close. It's a tight-knit group. They love to practice. They love to play. The challenges are staying healthy because I don't think in some spots our depth. I worry about our depth a little bit if we get injuries. But staying healthy and then just learning to play great and be great at what we do. Fundamentally, it's always about fundamentals. It's blocking, tackling, ball security. That's it. It's just about how good can we become, in the next, now that we're actually get to play real football. So, so I don't know if I don't know if those are challenges. I think every team has those challenges, but we just got a great group to work with. So we're more excited than anything.
Many of those kids that you talked about are multi-sport athletes. Talk about the importance of multi-sport athletes.
A lot of our kids, whether they in the off season, whether they wrestle, play basketball, play baseball, play lacrosse, run track, I just don't think you can put a value on kids playing other sports. Number one, it puts them in competitive situations. That's number one, and they learn how to compete. It develops other muscles and gives primary muscle groups a break. I see it as the athletic director. I see injuries all the time, and whether it be girls soccer, or whether it be volleyball, or whether it be baseball or softball, where these kids are playing year-round, and it becomes their high school season, and they miss half the season because they're hurt, because of overuse injuries. So it's nice to give kids a break. I think it develops them athletically. It also develops them in terms of their competitive mindset, meaning the more times kids can compete, it helps them as an athlete. They get more comfortable in those situations. So, I look at it as, and it helps all our sports programs as well. You take somebody like a Ryan Rushlow. Well, Ryan is a great basketball player. So the basketball coach and I work it out so that he can do both. There might be times he has to miss where he's got to be at basketball camp during summer. There might be times he misses a few summer basketball scrimmages because he's got 7-on-7, whatever it might be. We work together, and all of our coaches do a great job. We're working with each other to make sure the kids can do everything. The other thing too is they're only young one time.
Yep.
They get a chance to play all these sports. If they're good enough to play them, then play them. Because once you're done with high school, unless you're playing just intramural or pick up or whatever, you don't get that opportunity to play with your buddies. Wear the Lake Orion jersey, play for your hometown. So take advantage of it. So, obviously, that's boys and girls. We love our kids to be multiple sport athletes. It makes them better athletes.
Knowing how close this group has been, and still is, it's nice to see them playing multi-sports and multiple sports. Definitely, you see the successes. You see it in boys basketball. You see it in track and boys lacrosse and baseball and wrestling and boys volleyball coming up. Some of the football players might look at playing boys volleyball. That'd be exciting.
Well, we had a great boys volleyball team, and we graduated a bunch. So I'm hoping some of our guys do. They'd be good volleyball players.
Yes, that'd be awesome to see. When we come back, we're going to talk about the coaching staff here on the Lake Orion Football Preview Show on ONTV.
Orion Neighborhood Television is your community media outlet. Our mission is to empower community members and groups to create, communicate, and connect through television and video production. For more than 35 years, ONTV has offered video production classes to residents of all ages and provides them with the equipment and facilities to produce their own programs. Not only are residents encouraged to produce programs, but ONTV staff produces programs that promote local nonprofits and community groups like the Chamber of Commerce, the Orion Township Public Library, the Lake Orion Lions Club, and the Orion Arts Center, to name a few.
ONTV has been very important for all our events. We have our community Dragon on the Lake and Art and Flower Fair. We also have our holiday market, and they're always out there promoting us and covering our events, but also promoting through on-site interviews at the studio, which are very helpful, and to have the footage after for us to be able to use in our marketing materials and to put on our Facebook. It's been really beneficial for us.
Yes, ONTV has just been a great partner. We're so thankful for them. And what they do is they really come to all of our events, especially our ribbon cuttings. Having their ribbon cuttings documented so that they can archive it, put it in their business history, post it on social media means so much to our small business owners. They've really never seen anything like that before, and that's what's so unique about the Orion community and ONTV is that they're always there for us. Last year they did 18 ribbon cuttings. They stay from the start to the finish. They interview the small business owners, and we all just couldn't be more grateful.
That exposure is just critical to us. We have to get the word out there about how people can volunteer more. That's a thing that's becoming less and less important to people in this world. And the more we can get the word out with your help, the better off we all are in the community.
The staff ventures out into the community to cover events like parades, festivals, concerts, and high school sports. And for more than 30 years, ONTV has provided the equipment and staffing needed to televise township and village meetings live to Lake Orion residents.
In Michigan, it's a unique model, and I don't know how it works in other states, but in Michigan specifically, we don't have to pay to put the equipment in our facilities so we can broadcast these meetings. And government transparency, it's not just a buzzword, it's required in today's day and age. But the fact that our residents aren't paying for that through their property taxes is invaluable in my opinion. The fact that it's funded through these franchise fees that the cable companies have paid forever, a few pennies literally on cable bills helps fund this really important, government isn't trusted anymore. This is one way people trust us because we're closer to them, but everything we do is in the light of day. And it's thanks to this funding that exists, a really unique mechanism that allows us to continue to give that to our residents.
I think it's mission critical for clarity, honesty, and just getting the message of local government out to its residents. I mean, social media has become a way to do that, but ONTV is on social media. So I don't think that we can broadcast meetings in any other way or better at a better rate or a better price than what ONTV provides.
ONTV also provides the video equipment that Lake Orion High School students use as they prepare for a career in broadcasting.
The franchise fees, the PEG fees that fund ONTV and the Cable Commission actually benefit and fund our program as well. We're able to ask for grants from that organization, from ONTV, from the Cable Commission to help us. We're very fortunate to have one of the best broadcast programs in the state, if not the country, and they're a huge funding revenue source for us to be able to provide our students, past and present, with amazing technology that's very comparable to what the professionals use in the industry.
ONTV's podcast studio and training give producers an opportunity to educate and entertain listeners. To sign up for classes or for more information, call 248-393-1060 or visit orionontv.org.
Welcome back to Lake Orion Football Preview Show on ONTV. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great.
Wonderful. Let's talk about the coaching staff and the programs in Lake Orion football. Let's start with the man, Coach Bell, athletic director. Talk about yourself and your career.
You know what? I'm blessed to be able to come back and coach. You know, I love the game of football. I love working with our kids. You know, love Lake Orion. I think we've built something special here over the last 20-some years. You know, and I enjoy it. You know, and I think the kids, it's important for the kids. You know, if the coach is having fun, the kids are having fun. And I think we do it the right way. You know, we do it with the mindset of building young men. You know, if we want to win championships, you have to have championship people, and we do it the right way. So I think that, you know, and I think because you do it the right way, I think our program's been able to endure. You know, and I've been fortunate to have tremendous players, talented, committed, great kids with great families, and then a wonderful coaching staff. Because in varsity football, it takes an army, you know, to coach a team like ours, as big as it is. So, you know, obviously, you know, we have a very talented coaching staff. Some have been with me a long time. You know, you know, John Blackstock, for example, has been with me. You know, every year I've been a head coach. John has been right by my side. Eric Jennings is another one who's been with us for a long time. You know, Brad Fisher, Mike Keith, those guys are back, and those guys have been with us a long time. But, you know, Russ Purdy, you know, to break it down, you know, obviously myself as a head coach and the offensive coordinator, but helping me coordinate the offense is Brad Fisher and our head JV coach and wide receiver coach, Corey Bell. He's going to do a role this year. Those guys really help with the offense. Rob Kiragosian is moving over to take over the offensive line. Andrew LaFada will still be there, but Andrew and his wife just had their third child, and he's got some child care stuff, so he's going to be more part-time this year. But I have two guys in the offensive line. Eric Jennings coaches the tight ends.
Mr. LO, no one does it more than Coach E.
And Mike Heath coaches the running backs. So, you know, it's a good staff. It's been together for a long time. On the defensive side, Russ Purdy returns as our defensive coordinator, and Russ has been with us. I want to say this is his 5th year now at Lake Orion, his 2nd as our defensive coordinator. Russ is a long-time defensive coordinator at Birmingham Seaholm. He's coached football for over 20 years, you know, outstanding coach. Helping Russ, Brian Gannon returns on the defensive line. John Blackstock and Jeff Heath in the secondary. And, you know, one of our steals this year is we were able to bring in Gary Griffith. And Gary's coached football for over 40 years. Was a longtime head coach at Troy High, won the state championship at Troy High. One of the best inside linebacker coaches that I've ever seen. And, you know, over the years we've gotten to know Gary real well, and we got word that he might be interested in moving. And so we had an inside linebacker position open, and we brought him on board. So our kids have loved working with him, and he brings knowledge and experience, and that's tremendous. Taylor McCarty's back working with our kickers, yep. So, you know, we got a great staff over there as well. My son Kyle is going to come out this year and help Corey with wide receivers as well. And Kyle played 4 years at Adrian, and he just moved back to the area, so he's going to have some time to be able to do that. So I'm really happy with that staff. On the JV staff, Corey is the head coach, and then Jacob Simon is back as a defensive coordinator. With Blair Williams back with the offensive line, and Jeff Smart coaching the defensive line, and Steve Dolinsky's coming back to coach DBs. It's a great staff there, and then down on the freshman staff. With our head coach is James Cathcart taking over this year as a head coach. Blaze Lauer's coming back to coordinate the offense, and Blaze was a longtime quarterback for us and also was a college quarterback for a number of years. So he's graduated from school. He's going to coordinate the offense down there. Jeff Konslik and Jason Allen return down there to help those guys. And Max Hornifer is back as well. Max had to take a different job this year. He got a promotion, and he's going to be assisting more with the JV and help us on Friday night. So, good people who have been around Lake Orion football, that know our system, that coach the right way, and all of our kids are in good hands.
I have to give a shout out to Coach Blackstock. Coach Blackstock won the Oakland County Middle School Championship with Walden Middle School this spring.
In track, absolutely.
In track,
yeah, absolutely. Does a great job there.
That shot put coach of his does a pretty good job too.
Right.
Coach E, obviously, Coach E does everything. It's crazy how much Coach E does and how much he loves kids at Lake Orion. Talk about Coach E a little bit and how much he's meant.
Well, he's so valuable to me because he does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees. He coaches our tight ends. He handles all of our film work, uploads film, breaks it down, makes sure that we have the film that we need. He handles a ton of the administrative tasks as well that I have as well. So he takes care of and just things that people don't see, rosters. Filling out some stuff for the MHSAA, rules meeting stuff. He helps me with those. He is in charge of, when we go on the road, we take a lot with us. He's in charge of making sure all that is ready, and he's got a team of people that help come, and he gets it to the game site, he gets set up and all that. So, yeah, he is the guy behind the scenes that does everything. So, just phenomenal. Very, obviously very dedicated, and he does a job of 3 people. Without him, it would, it'd be miserable.
Let's talk about the middle school program. In the past, it's been Walden, Scripps, and Oakview. Recently, in recent years, it's been Lake Orion Green, Lake Orion White, in the middle school levels. Talk about the middle school program and the coaches who coach in those programs.
We've got a really good crew of coaches. I have to, Dave McKay, the principal over at Scripps, does a nice job kind of helping to head up that program as like the general manager. But, we've got some really good coaches at the middle school level. The bottom line there is the kids are continuing to learn the game of football. They have fun playing. It's their first shot of actually playing for a school. They've done very well, and and I think when we've gone from having 2 7th grade and 8th grade at each school to consolidating them, so we've got now 2 7th grades and 2 8th grades. I think that helps. It helps with numbers because before, when they were spread out like that, you had kids playing out of position. We don't want a kid who's going to be a future wide receiver to have to play tackle because there aren't enough bodies at the 7th grade level, and he's got to play tackle. Well, it's not bad for him to learn how to block people and things like that. We want to be able to play the positions where they're going to be as they get older. So that's what's really helped us to do. And also, we divide the teams. We divide the teams as equally as possible. They are able to practice together, which helps their practices. So it's been a really good thing for us.
Could you talk about the numbers of all 3 levels, varsity, JV, and freshman? How many kids have come out for all 3 teams this year?
Our numbers are really good. We're expecting close to 60 plus on the freshman level.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, the JV level, and JV is always usually your lowest number, but JV level, we'll be 45 to 50, and on the varsity level, we should be right around 65. And the great thing too is, obviously we don't cut kids.
Right.
If you come out for football, we find places for everybody, and so our numbers are very, very strong.
That's good. Let's talk about the youth level program. Talk about the youth level program.
Well, the youth league has exploded. They are phenomenal, and now that they've gone to, they not just have they have got their JV program, but they also have rookie tackle. And rookie tackle, and I gave John Blackstock all the credit in the world for bringing this in. And rookie tackle is they play with fewer players. They have maybe 7 players on the field, shorter fields. There's a lot more passing, and it's a step up from flag football. So just like in other sports, there's usually a progression. You know, you take baseball, for example. You have a lot of times you'll have T-ball, and then you might have coach pitch, and then you might have machine ball, and then player pitch. There's a progression. Well, football's the same way. So a lot of the kids can start. We have a monster flag football program in our district, and then the kids can move into rookie tackle before they start playing full-fledged football. So I think it helps. The rookie tackle is more fun for them, gets more kids involved, more kids get to touch the ball. As I said, there's more passing, it's more wide open, shorter games, shorter field, and that's what it should be at that age. Football, the hardest part for football at a young age, football is meant to be fun, but football is also hard. You know, our youth leagues have already begun. They've already started with their camps and stuff like that. And you know, when it's 85 degrees out and you're wearing equipment and you're running into people, learning how to block, learning how to tackle, that's hard. So you got to keep it fun, and I think that's the greatest challenge from our youth league. The greatest indicator if our youth league coaches are doing a great job and our middle school coaches are doing a great job, you know, is obviously teach them the fundamentals. All right, you want to win a few games.
Right.
All right, let them have fun. But the greatest indicator is they want to play the next year. If kids think that, you know, football is too tough for me, I don't like football, it stinks, they don't want to play, they're not helping anybody. You know, we want to see, and that's where our youth league, you know, I applaud our youth league coaches, our middle school coaches, because the number of kids we have playing football in Lake Orion is phenomenal, and they love to play. And I think it's because it's being coached the right way and kids are having fun. And I think at the high school level, the way the game has changed, the game has never been more safe. You know, the safety standards that are in place, the way that we teach tackling, even the MHSAA in terms of the reduction of contact you're allowed to have during the week, you know, it's a very safe game. And I think it's the greatest teacher of young men that you're ever going to have, because it is a game that will challenge you, force you to grow up, but also calls on you to be a great teammate and to learn sportsmanship and do things the right way, because you can't cheat this game. So, you know, kind of a long answer there. Youth league is phenomenal. And I think they're doing it the right way, which means this middle school program is strong, which means our high school programs are strong. Because without those, you know, at some point the high school would start feeling the effect.
Talk about something I noticed on the schedules too. Girls football is coming up. Talk about the girls football program. Girls
flag football at the high school level is one of the fastest growing sports across the country. And you know, we obviously in Michigan, there, you know, with the help through the NFL and the Lions, there is a spring league in Michigan, and we have not gotten involved in the spring league for a variety of reasons. Number one being, we've got so many spring sports for girls. You know, we don't want to pull athletes from those sports or give girls a reason not to play those sports, and it's also comes down to field availability. You know, between our lacrosse team, between our track teams of the high school and Scripps, it's practice time, it's field availability, all of that. So we, in the OAA, there are a number of teams where we're going to pilot a fall league. We think girls flag football should be a fall sport. And when I say the stress on other sports, at Lake Orion in the spring, we could do it. I have no doubt we could field a girls flag football team in the spring and be successful. We could do it in the spring. But once you start going into smaller schools and you start going around the state, I said I served on that MHSAA football committee, you know, this question gets asked all the time. And these northern schools or rural schools or smaller schools, they say, we cannot play flag football in the spring. We will not have enough girls to field a softball team, a soccer team, you know, hurt our track team, all those things. So we are going to pilot a fall league. And our girls are going to start practice after school starts. They are going to play 4 games. And we'll have 2 home games, and those home games will be before 2 of our home games. So if we play at 7 o'clock, we're usually on the field by, you know, 5:45 to 6 o'clock for warm-ups and things like that. So the girls are going to play. The girls' games will start at 4:30, and the girls' games take about an hour, but they'll play. So it's Friday night football in Lake Orion. The girls get to kick things off at 4:30. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Derek Delzer and Eric Mischart, both teachers, are going to be the coaches. And we've got some really good athletes coming out to play. And and hopefully we'll get some of those athletes. I'm also hoping that we get girls that maybe this is their thing. Maybe they don't play any other sports, and maybe flag football becomes their thing. That's okay. They want girls to come out and try it. Our only problem this year is we do have a limit as to how big our team can be. So we'll see. Our first meeting, we had close to 40 girls. If we have 40 girls, I think we'll be okay. If we get 60 girls out there, there's no way we can keep 60. So it's the first year because we want the girls to be able to play in every game, and the games being short. If your roster's too big, then there's kids that can't play. So we want the girls to be able to play in every game. So we're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Talk about the community support, the pep club, parent support, the alumni support for Lake Orion football. Talk about the support that Lake Orion football gets.
Well, I think it's, I see it from all sides as the athletic director. And I'm going to go globally here. I don't care what the sport is. Our parents, our community support their student athletes. Almost every sport has, if they don't have a booster club, like a pep club like we have, they have a group of parents that get together and support their athletics. But our football pep club has set the standard for years. It's been, since 1998 when they originated. And even the pep club was Coach Burrell, who was the head coach, had started the pep club, and they were phenomenal there. When I became the head coach in 1998, the parents asked, said, "Hey, if you let us, we'll do some fundraising for you. We got some ideas." So I to have at it, and it's just grown every year. And the things they do, they really make playing special for our kids. Now our kids, I always tell our kids, I joke with them and say how spoiled they are because this is all they know. They think that after games, before games rather, that they can walk into the decorated teacher's lounge and have catered meals that have been donated to feed them before games, and different things during the season. There might be after practice, all of a sudden a bunch of pizzas show up, or they have T-shirts waiting for them, or something that or even on game night when there's a tunnel of parents when we're coming out, and just the pep club is phenomenal. They do a ton behind the scenes. They raise some funds for us, and most of the funds that they raise, a lot of it goes to our coaching staff. We have a coaching staff of over 20 individuals, and only 8 of us are paid through the schools, right? So the other 12 to 14 coaches, they don't make a lot of money, but they do make some money through the pep club, and that's all sports. Our school system, for example, we'll pay head coaches in basketball. That's it. And the assistants are paid through, their fundraising efforts. Baseball, our school system pays for head coaches. They don't pay for assistants. So, and that's pretty common throughout high schools. So it allows you to have larger coaching staffs, which means you get better coaching, which means it's safer for kids. Plus any of the equipment that you see on our field, any of the blocking sleds, the tackling dummies, the headsets that we wear during games, the iPads that we use, between series, all of that, that's all paid for through the pep club. School doesn't pay for any of that. It can't afford it. The school budgets are actually very, very small for athletics. It's the booster clubs and the parents that fill in and provide all those extras for those sports. And without those, you would see an effect. It'd be very, very hard. So, with that, I don't ever want us to take for granted the work that our parents do and the fundraising that's done and the donations from the businesses that support Lake Orion Athletics. But, that's why our football team and all of our athletics, but our football team especially, it's a community team. That's, you see it on Friday nights. Friday nights, everybody's there. And it does. It represents the community. And we always talk to our kids about be worthy of the attention and the support that you receive. Be humble, be appreciative, but be worthy through your actions and how you carry yourself. And understand when you take that field, you're playing for more than yourself, you're playing for Lake Orion.
I want to talk about, before we end the second segment, I want to talk about one Lake Orion alum that means so much to Lake Orion community. That's Ben McCall. He's been on the sidelines for several years. He's always been on the for home games. He always was a mentor to Lake Orion football players, especially on the sidelines. You're coaching. He's behind doing always motivating, encouraging players. He passed away in April. You talk about the impact, and one thing about Ben McCullough was he loved Lake Orion football. What has he meant to Lake Orion football, and what has he meant to Lake Orion in general?
Well, Benny's been a fixture. You know, I met Benny back in the mid-2000s when he was at Walden Middle School. And Benny obviously had some health issues. Was born with spina bifida, was in wheelchairs his entire life. And Benny had multiple surgeries. And Benny had a surgery where he was struggling. And I got a text from a teacher that said, "Hey, you need to come meet this guy over here who's football crazy." And he was a manager at the time for the Walden Middle School teams and worked with Coach Scone and all that. So I got a chance to go over and meet him. And from that day forward, Benny and I were pretty tight. And when he was at the high school, he worked with the freshman group in the JV, and then he came up to the varsity and was a varsity manager. Did some statistics for us. And then that was Benny's senior year. Was the first year we went to Ford Field in 2008.
Yeah.
And then and Benny just then from then on out, Benny became an alumni, and Benny was just going to be there. Every Friday night, every home game. I don't think he ever missed a home game. It didn't matter the weather. Benny was there for it didn't matter. Benny was he was going to be there. He's tough as can be, but he was one of the first guys I saw when I took the field, and I always had a chance to chat with him a little bit. And you know what? He whether his words of encouragement, congratulations, or even after a game, if we got beat, there was nobody that was more upbeat, more optimistic about, "Coach, we'll bounce back. We're going to be okay," than Benny. So, yeah, it'll hit me when we take the field, our first home game, and I walk down that sideline and Benny's not there. Hopefully his parents, wonderful family. Hopefully they still come to games but Benny was phenomenal. He's a guy that he said he loved Lake Orion football, but he was a big part of Lake Orion football. So yeah, we're really gonna miss him.
I'm gonna miss him too. He's met me. All the conversations we'd have with Benny. We talked about the senior season, going through those 5 weeks. That was Romeo. That was Adams, Clarkston. Stevens, or ultimately ending up with Stevenson, but Eisenhower, Romeo, back in that senior year, that first year.
Absolutely.
That truly was very, and we always shared that. He always shared that story, and one of my favorite stories with him was Romeo. Benny was all nervous, like, "Benny, relax, we're fine, we're gonna bounce back, we're gonna win this game," and we won that game against Romeo. And then he always brings up the moment with Sterling Heights Stevenson, and then Fordson the next week. We remember really prepared for that game, and ended up being 38-0 going to Ford Field, playing Rockford, same team we played week 1 in the championship game. And those were some of the favorite Benny stories to share.
Absolutely. It was a great year. It was a magical year, and Benny was a big part of that.
We're going to miss him. That first game's going to feel really, really weird, but he's going to be watching all from in spirit. And
absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back with Lake Orion football preview show on ONTV.
We're there to serve, make sure we're creating a fair atmosphere for both teams, upholding the integrity of the game.
I chose to be an official. It's the best decision I've made.
In life, things aren't scripted. Games aren't pre-scripted. I got into officiating because my father was an official. Officiating was part of our family life. It wasn't just the game.
Get to be outside, get to experience the game. It's so much more fun. You can get a lot out of it.
If you're an athlete, we need people like you and translate those skills to officiating.
It helped me become not only a better official, but a better person.
It happens in every town, in every game.
We never have a perfect game, but the rewards always outweigh the negativities.
And it's just been wonderful.
Welcome back, Lake Orion Football Preview Show on ONTV. Coach, how are you doing?
Doing great.
All right, I want to talk about the schedule, and then I want to talk about, let's bring up some records real quick. A little bit of a funny thing. Who's got the most penalties in the you've ever seen?
Well, yeah, this is unofficial. We have to go back and watch a film, but I think your brother has a record for most penalties committed, for sure in a quarter, but maybe in a game.
So the host of Inside the OA, the podcast,
That's right.
on ONTV's probably got the most penalties.
Well, I do have to help him out a little bit. You know, Sammy was a defensive lineman, and we were playing Rochester. And it was late in the game, and Sammy had not seen the field yet. I said, Sammy, hey, we want to put you in the offensive line. Can you go in and play guard? He said, yes, Coach, I got it. But Sammy didn't understand going to play guard meant he had to get in his stance and actually freeze for a second. Sammy got too excited, so he kept moving, flags were flying every play. I think he had 3 or 4. I think it might have been a holding penalty in there too. Who knows? He just, yeah. I think that game, I think the leading yardage gainer for Rochester was Sammy. He might have been their offensive player of the game.
I thought we share that because Sam's around somewhere and he's probably going to be watching the show. He's probably going to be, All right, so let's talk about the schedule. Lake Orion's back in the OA Red. The divisions have not changed since last year. This is the first in a long, long time we've had 2-year alignments. You talk about how the divisions work.
Well, divisions are, that's always a tough thing at the end of the season. Divisions are based upon size of program and then strength of program. And that's how they're aligned. So that's why you might have a Troy High or Troy Athens that play in our blue division, which is our 3rd division. And Troy's the largest school in our league right now. But their football program, they had a good team last year, but their program has struggled. So by strength of program, they're in the blue. So obviously in the red, every year in the red is the toughest division in our league. Some rankings nationwide rank the OAA red as top to bottom the toughest division in the state of Michigan. Now, there are some great teams, and you look at the Catholic Central. With De La Salle and Brother Rice and St. Mary's and Catholic Central. It's like, holy cow. And then now you throw in the Toledo schools. What a great league that is. And the Macomb, the MAC Red every year.
Romeo
with
Stevenson,
Dakota, Chip, Romeo. What a great league that is. So, I don't know that we could say. I think the only thing we could say is probably in the OA Red, you never have a week off. There are no, everybody's good. And I think that's why, we're so balanced every year. And last year's a great example with, everybody at one point with a chance to finish. I think West Bloomfield finished 1-3.
Yep.
Rochester finished 3-1. The rest of us were 2-2. And you said if West Bloomfield beaten Oxford, it would have been everybody across the board, all 5 teams at 2-2. So that's the balance that we have. So, so our league is very, very tough. We got to play, but we always say this. I think it's, if we can compete in our league, and our goal every year is to win the OA Red. That's our goal. I steal that from Bo Schembeckler. Bo Schembeckler's his goal every year was to win the Big Ten. Well, our goal every year is to win the OAA Red, because if we can win the OAA Red, we know we're playing good football, and it's going to set us up for a good playoff run, district championships, regional championships, and onwards. So let's win the OAA Red. That's goal number 1.
Talk about 2 new schools, or two schools are returning to the OA. Kettering and Mott are returning. They're going to return this winter, but then they're going to ultimately return to football next year.
Yes.
Talk about Kettering and Mott and how they fit in the OA.
Well, it's good to have them back, but they're different schools from when they left. They're now, both Kettering and Mott have enrollments of less than 1,000 kids, so they're going to be in our smaller divisions. Mott's traditionally had the last 10 years, Mott's had a really good program. Coach Farr over there at Mott did a real good job at Mott. But Coach Farr recently resigned from Mott, and now he's a defense coordinator up in Davison. So Waterford Mott has a brand new coach. So that might be a transition for him. Kettering has struggled the last couple of years. But Kettering, Kettering always has tough kids. It just takes the right person to go in there who's going to be there a while, and they can rebuild that program. So both of them have potential to be really good football teams. We're excited to have them back. They're we play them in everything anyways. I mean, they're Oakland County schools. They belong in the OAA, and we're really happy to have them back.
I'm happy that they're back as well. I mean, it just didn't feel right with them going away from the OA for a few years. Now they're back. Let's look at the schedule. Open up week 1 originally it's a home game, but we're playing Northville at Wayne State. Now, the thing about going to Wayne State, Lake Orion all the time has been 0-3 over there, playing Chippewa Valley twice and then played Lapeer in 2018. Talk about Northville. They're a very strong program, well coached, and also consistent KLA power. Talk about Northville a little bit.
Well, we've played over the years. We've played in some of those feature games. We used to be at Eastern Michigan.
Yep.
Then we've played obviously the Big House a couple times.
Yep.
And then now down at Wayne State. We love, whenever we get the opportunity to do that, we get invited to go because obviously we travel well. So people that are hosting those games, they want Lake Orion to come down there because it means they're going to sell a lot of tickets. We like it because our kids get a chance to play in a collegiate atmosphere. And it also forces our kids to do something a little bit different. We're out of our comfort zone a little bit. And so, if we do happen to make the playoffs and we're making playoff runs, we got to be ready to play at non-traditional times in different venues. So it's a great experience for the kids, but we also hope it's an experience that will help them down the road as well. So, they do a great job down there. Northville's a really good team. They were pretty young last year and we got them. They return a good group, and right out of the gate, you got to be playing well. If we don't play well, we'll get beat. But the blessing there is usually in those games. You mentioned that we've had some struggles in some of those games. We've won some, we've lost some, but you're always playing a good team. You play in those venues, you're going to play a good team. So it helps you right out of the gate. Make sure that you're playing good football.
Week 2. Week 2 after Northville, you go right into playing Stony Creek, another really good team, and a red team that's essentially competing in the white division. Obviously, former LL defensive coordinator Rick Powell's the head coach there. Stony Creek keeps getting better as a program. Talk about Stony Creek a little bit.
Well, they, last year, Ricky, his first year, they went 5-4, got in the playoffs, returned to the playoffs. They've had a full offseason now. They were young last year. They returned a lot of kids. They're going to be very good. Ricky's a darn good coach, and they're going to be very good. So we'll have our work cut out for us for sure.
That game will be covered on ON TV. That's the first home game of the season. We encourage you to come out to Lake Orion High School. If not, then watch the game on ON TV. The kids and Coach Corliss, Coach Fritzing, they do a really good job with covering Lake Orion football.
Absolutely. They're the best. Absolutely.
Now we have our first road game of the year. It'll be at Rochester. First road game in a while. Going over to Rochester. First time going over there in a while. The first matchup since 2019. It's the crossover game, another red versus white game. 3 programs. Talk about Rochester a little bit.
You know what? Love playing Rochester. They have a great field, great tradition. Coach Vernon does a nice job. It'll be another big challenge for us, but it's a fun atmosphere to go play over there. So we're looking forward to it.
It's their Falcon Frenzy game over there too. So
it'll be nuts. Their kids do a great job. They have a great marching band. It's a great football atmosphere. It'll be a lot of fun.
Now going to league play, open up at home against West Bloomfield. Talk about West Bloomfield a little bit. It's always a battle. They're very athletic, well coached. Quarterback's back. Talk about West Bloomfield a little bit. Well,
I actually made a mistake. The quarterback actually graduated. I thought he was back as well, but we threw against him in 7-on-7. A very spirited 7-on-7 contest over there at Chelsea. You know what? They've graduated a lot of kids, but they have talent all the time and they're well coached. So it's going to be it's only a red game. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out, hard fought football game.
After West Bloomfield, we have a rivalry game, 00 trophy against Oxford. Oxford barely beat us last year. And talk about Oxford, the quarterback's back. They got a new coach. There's a lot of motivation in that game, the 00 trophy, bringing it back to Lake Orion.
Yeah, whenever you play, a team that wears those colors, our kids are always fired up. So, they did lose a lot to graduation, but they also return a good group. The quarterback is really good. And returning him, he's a good player. And he's going to be a 3-year starter. He's their guy. They also had a really good JV. The JV's good athletes, so I don't think they're going to miss a beat. You know, they did lose Coach Line, who did a great job there, but they hired Trevor Potts, who was an assistant there, and they've kept their staff. So there's a lot of continuity. I think Oxford's going to be really good again.
It's going to also, obviously, the 00 trophy, it's also a rivalry game. Also, after Oxford, you got Clarkston, so it's like 2 rivalry games in a row. Talk about Clarkston a little bit. They return a lot.
Clarkston, you know, in the past has been always week 7 or week 8, but the schedule didn't allow that this year, so we got them week 6 going to Clarkston. Their quarterback is back. He was a sophomore last year. He's had a good offseason. They return the Bowman brothers, who were juniors last year and phenomenal players. So they're both going to be seniors. You know, they're you know, if I had to pick a league favorite right now, I would probably say Clarkston would be the league favorite. You know, but again, we'll match up with them. It'll be a great football game. Always is.
Going on the road over there to Clarkston is, you know, it's always a challenge. I get this question from a lot of fans and alumni and pundits. Who is the bigger rival, Clarkston or Oxford? What's your take on that?
You know what? I think both. It's you know, how if I really can't choose. You know, it's you know, we have a great respect for both coaching staffs, know them well. You know, we know their kids. Our kids know their kids. They're 2 games that you love to win and you hate to lose. You know, we don't want to lose anybody, but you definitely want to lose those 2. And there's no better feeling than when you beat those 2 as well. So, and I think they feel the same way. You know, if they you know, every game's tough, so it's hard to have. They call them the red letter games. But if we had red letter games, we'd circle and say, okay, these are the 2. It'd be Clarkston and Oxford.
Both of them are also for trophy games. Talk about that Lake Orion Clarkston trophy.
You know, that was the 00 trophy has been around forever. That's got a lot of history. I mean, that goes way back. You know, before, you know, way back to the Doug Holcomb, Bud Raleigh years. We're talking back in the early 70s. Okay, the Clarkston trophy has only been around, even though the record's updated. The trophy itself has only been around probably within the last maybe 20 years, and it came from a Clarkston fan who just had the idea. Basically, emailed. It was Bill Reese at the time and Dan Pfeiffer, the athletic directors, and then also emailed Kurt Richardson and I, who were the head coaches, and said, guys, this is a great rivalry, one of the best in the state of Michigan. This game should be played for a trophy. And he invented this Clarkston Lake Orion trophy. It's a cool trophy. It's big. It's got the helmet, Lake Orion on one side, Clarkston on the other. It's got all the scores, and it's a trophy game. So, you know, it's neat. It's added to the rivalry. And so this was, that was the brainstorm of a Clarkston fan. So this game needs a trophy, and so it was born.
Talk about after Clarkston, traveled to Adams. Adams is going to be very good again. The Veer offense going over there, skilled players, well coached. How hard is it to stop the Veer offense?
Well, they do so much more now than just a Veer. You know, and plus now that they have their quarterback is back this year, and he was having a great year last year, and they actually, at the end of the first half last year, got injured against us. Their backup did a great job, took them to the Final Four, so they've got 2 really good quarterbacks. But their number 1 quarterback is back. He's a big, strong kid, and it's basically about stopping him. You know, they've got good players around him, but it's kind of like a Tim Tebow style offense. They want to run the ball with their quarterback, and when you have misdirection and you run the ball with your quarterback, you can create problems. I mean, that's basically what we did last year with Tristan Hill. Tristan was our number 1 threat, and we tried to create as much misdirection as possible, and we wanted Tristan to run the ball because he was a threat every time he ran the ball. But Tristan was also a good athlete where he could throw it. So if you start stacking the line of scrimmage, you're going to throw it behind you. You know, if you're not paying attention to the other guy's going to hurt you as well. So that's the challenge of stopping Adams, and they're always good defensively. They're always very aggressive. They're good defensively. So you know, hopefully that's a meaningful game down the stretch, and it's you know, it's going there. It's a great place to play as well. So we're looking forward to it.
Obviously, a lot of rivalries with all those teams: West Bloomfield, Oxford, Clarkston, Adams, Stony Creek, Rochester. Tremendous rivalry games there too, and along with being in the league with 4 of those 5, with 4 of the other 4 schools. It's exciting football.
Absolutely.
Never a game off.
No. Nope.
Homecoming, we is week 8. We play Oak Park for our homecoming team. Oak Park is solid, despite being in the blue. They're very well coached. It's a great test. It's homecoming, so there's a lot of distractions and a lot of other things going on. Talk about homecoming game and what it means.
Well, Greg Carter is our head coach, and whenever you play a team coached by Greg, they're going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, probably of active coaches, Greg is one of the winningest coaches in the state of Michigan. In terms of one of his years was the head coach at DePorce,
Mm-hmm.
and then up through Inkster when he had Devin Gardner, and now to Oak Park. So Greg's teams have always been very good. And especially week 8, by then Greg will have them rolling. They're talented. COVID really knocked out the Oak Park program, and he's slowly been putting this thing back together. Mm-hmm. So we expect them to be really good, and it should be a fun game.
Mm-hmm. Talk about it playing on homecoming.
You know, homecoming is, I'm glad it's not a league game. Homecoming is, it's, we do it later than most teams.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the school year starts later. It gives our student council an opportunity to, it's such a monster week at the high school, such a great week at the high school, and our leadership class does a great job putting it on. So it gives them some extra time to coordinate all the activities that go on. So we don't mind playing it late. So it's something it's great to look forward to. Our homecoming games have been great games for us traditionally. We've lost very few of those. So hopefully that continues, and it can be a great week before we get ready for week 9, the playoffs.
Week 9, the furthest road game of the season, you travel to Saline. Saline's very well-rounded. Quarterback, their tight ends back. We talked about both of them. They also have a lot of players back with Division I looks. Talk about Saline and how they are.
Might be top to bottom the most talented team we're going to play. So that's a huge challenge. I think, though, for Saline, it's a great game. This will be the 4th year in a row.
Fourth year
we're playing, and then we just
renewed them.
Might be the 5th year. We got one more again next year. So yeah, we just re-upped with them. They have a couple more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great game for both of us because both programs are usually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great test before the playoffs. And Saline looks forward to playing us because in their league they don't see that competition week in and week out. They'll have a couple tough games. I think they opened Rockford.
Yeah.
Which is a huge game for them. But then their league is not very strong, so it's good for them to play a good team from a good league before they head into the playoffs.
Talking with Saline's coaches, they actually mentioned that, where they always look forward to playing Lake Orion because of that reason.
Right. It's a good measuring stick for them, yes.
So, also traveling there, talk about the challenges of having to travel over to Saline.
It's a long trip, but we leave early enough. It's not bad, and it's a great field, another great facility. So, the last one we were there was one of the more memorable games that we've ever had. It was a great football game. Us coming from behind to beat them at their place, and it was C.J. Carr's senior year.
Yep.
So it was we've been there. We've conquered that before, and our kids remember that. So it'll be good.
And obviously, you mentioned preparing you for the playoffs, if fortunate to make the playoffs. Talk about that schedule, and will that prepare you should we make the playoffs?
Well, the hardest part with the schedule is and everybody has this, staying healthy. But our kids do a lot of work in the off season, to condition their bodies. We think we practice the right way to keep our kids healthy. So, but when you play good football, it sets you up to play good teams, and we're going to be playing really good teams. So if we're fortunate enough to get to the playoffs, we should be battle tested, and that's all we can ask for.
Talk about the expectations for this upcoming season.
You know what? Expectations never change. I expect us to be in the thick of the league race, qualify for the playoffs, and play great football by the end of the year. That's our goal. We want to be playing great football. We want to get better every single week, and good teams do that. So that's our goal. I mean, we have no, we don't get to start slow. We play Northville right out of the gate. But our expectations are to be in the thick of the league playoff, in the thick of the league race, challenging for the league title. Our goal is to win the league title, qualify for the playoffs, and be playing great football at year end and make a run. That's our goal.
What's the theme for this year's team before?
You know what? There's a couple. The kids have adopted they've adopted leave no doubt. And leave no doubt, you know, it sounds a little bit arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say, hey, we want to make sure that when we leave a stadium that we've left no doubt as to, you know, who the better team was.
Mm-hmm.
But it also translates into leave no doubt that when you walk off the practice field, you know that you gave everything you had. Every day that you're working hard to get better. Leave no doubt that you're doing a great job in the classroom. Leave no doubt that you're representing Lake Orion as a student athlete. As coaches, we've grabbed onto, we stole from A.J. Hinch. This is actually our players. Our players asked, you know, what were some of the characteristics of some of the great teams that we had? And it's a really hard question to answer because we've had so many good teams, and they're all different. But the one thing that kept coming back to me, and it didn't hit me until I was listening to an interview and A.J. Hinch said it, about how he coaches the Tigers. And it's a motto that everything matters. And so as coaches, that's our motto for the kids, is everything matters. And we even have shirts that we wear that say everything matters. But that's, you know, that's really, if you want to know what it takes to be great, everything. You don't take a day off. You don't get to cut corners here. You know, if you want to be being a champion is an all-time thing, not a sometime thing. So everything matters. So, you know, those are the things that our kids, you know, probably hear the most. And, you know, I think as long as, you know, so far they've passed every test. They've had a great off season.
Mm-hmm.
They've worked very, very hard. Now it's a little bit harder as you get into practice, and it's, you know, it's 90 degrees, and you're practicing 5 hours a day, and you know, you start getting bumps and bruises, and you're banged up, and you're fighting through injuries, and coaches are driving you because, you know, we only have 2.5 weeks, and we got to get ready to play a game.
Yep.
And if you think about the NFL, you've got established football players that get to go through 2 weeks of training camp. For in the Lions' case, they get 4 preseason games, and then another week, and then they're playing a game. So it's basically they get 8 weeks of football before they play a game. You get to college, and colleges have a full month. First they've had spring football, and now they have a full month to practice before they play a game. And you take high school football with kids that have the least football knowledge, the least football skill, and they tell us high school coaches, okay guys, you got 2.5 weeks, and you got to get ready to play a game. So that's our challenge. So we got to push them pretty hard to get ready.
For those days, no contact.
And we've done a lot through this. That's why we do a lot during the summer. But it's a lot different when you can't block and tackle. And those are the skills that we're working on. You know, once we're able to put pads on. So even then, we don't get full pads until that Friday, the Friday of the first week. So it comes down to it's really a sprint in high school football to get your kids ready to play.
Awesome. Looking forward to this upcoming football season, Coach.
Thank you. So
Thank
are we.
you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, as always.
All right, so Lake Orion football fans, if you want, recommend you guys to come to Dragon Stadium on Friday nights. Come support these young men, great young men, and support Lake Orion football. If not, then catch us on Orion ON TV with Coach Corliss and Coach Frisching and the others. All right, have a great day, Lake Orion football. See you soon. See you at the football field.